What's up, everybody? It's your man, Big Jones the Juggernaut, and welcome back to Unleashed on the Night Shift. Like I said, I hope you guys are enjoying the new platform. I am working the night shift right now, but I'm going to work my butt off to try to get some content out there for you guys because we're on the fast track to 1,000 subscribers. It's taken several years and several crazy ideas that I've had over that time. So I want to just take a moment to thank everybody out there who is a subscriber. If you've already subscribed, I thank you very much. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy what I do, and I thank you all very much for watching. So tonight I want to talk about something that's a little different. My whole, I guess, idealism and my idealism for this channel was just funny stories. I love a good funny story. You watch podcasts, whether it's Joe Rogan or Jocko Willink, those are just a couple of my favorites, and there's a lot of great podcasts out there. But if you watch, I just love, I could sit and listen to funny stories all the time, and in the military, everybody's got funny stories. In the Navy, we call them sea stories. But the reason I'm talking about this tonight is because I mentioned on my last podcast that I'm currently in the market for a car. And a lot of people find car buying to be stressful, and it certainly can be. But for me, not so much. I actually enjoy the process of buying a car. Well, let me stipulate, I enjoy the process of buying a car when I don't need a car this moment. When I have a car that is functioning, but is currently, it's like the car I have right now. It's a beat up old van. We got it back in when I was stationed in San Antonio back in 2015. Don't quote me, something like that. But our third child was a bit of a surprise, so I had to give away the Challenger. I didn't give it away, but got rid of the Challenger, and we got a nice family van. And we still have that family van, but it was kind of old and beat up when I got it. I think I paid $7,000, maybe $8,000 for it. Not a lot of money, so it wasn't in the best shape when we got it. So fortunately, some good things happened, and we got a better van, but we still have the van that we got originally that I currently use as a daily driver. And when I tell you that the acquisition of the new van was very, very difficult, I am not even joking. So I'm going to tell you about it tonight. So like I said, I have three boys. My third boy was a bit of a surprise. We weren't exactly planning on having him. Not that we didn't want to have him, but it happened very quickly. That's why it was a surprise. Not because we didn't want another child, but because it happened very quickly after we had our second. We had our second boy in August, and we found out in December that we were pregnant again with our third, so very quickly. Where this all comes in, like I said, I bought a new van, and then we got stationed in Guam. And when you get stationed in Guam, the military will pay for only one vehicle to be shipped overseas for use in your new home port. So I had a Dodge Challenger at the time that I loved, but it didn't make sense to bring that, so instead I sold it, paid off the loan, and we took the van overseas. So we were in Guam for a year, come back, and that Guam has a really bad reputation on being very, very difficult on cars. But by the way, just a sidebar, if the phone rings, I'll try to edit it out, but if you hear the phone ringing, I'm in the middle of a thought. I am at work, so just bear with me. But anyway, Guam has such a bad reputation on cars that they actually have a term for it. We call them Guam bombs. Is you had your car in Guam for a certain amount of time, it's probably in pretty rough shape. So yeah, our car had become a bit of a Guam bomb. But it was the only car we had when we got stationed from Guam back to San Diego, which we are right now. So we had no choice. We had to take that car. We didn't want to leave it. So we took the car back, and plus it doesn't cost you anything except, time and maybe a little frustration because it has to be perfectly pristine, clean, and it's a bit of a hassle, but we got it done. I wouldn't do it again, but, Gotta do what you gotta do. So anyway, I'm back in San Diego for my current duty station. My family, my kids are in Texas visiting with their family, with their aunt and grandpa, who were in Texas at the time, because I hadn't seen them in a year, and they want to spend some time with relatives. And plus, my son was in school at the time. It was a really bad timing because they just come off spring break, and we didn't want him to get left back, so he finished school in Texas. I think he was in like the 8th grade. So anyway, I'm in San Diego. I'm in the barracks, and we need a car. So I'm doing like right now. Like I said, we don't need a car at the moment, but we really want one. So I'm going through AutoTrader, Cars.com. I'm a pretty savvy person when it comes to doing research and finding out what we need and budgeting and all that stuff. I take pride in that. So, months go by. I find the car we want because we had driven a Kia Sedona. Again, it's a big family van, but it's nice. It's really comfortable. It's seats up to like 6 or 7, pretty comfortably. It's a great little van. So I find one in Dallas. Now, like I said, my family's in Houston, so I have this great idea. Hey, why don't I fly to Dallas, drive the car to Houston? It's maybe 2-3 hour drive. Drop it off in Houston, spend the weekend with the family, fly back to San Diego out of Houston, problem solved. Sounds like a good plan, right? Well, here's what happened. So I'm in contact with this guy. Remember, I'm in San Diego, he's in Dallas. So we're contacting through emails, text messages. I think we called a couple of times, but I'm telling him that I'm interested in this van. And the van is a little higher than I was hoping to pay. I think it was maybe like $20,000, and it was a good van, but it had about 60,000 miles on it. It's more than I wanted, but it was a good van, and it was even my wife's favorite color. So I figured, okay, well, this could work. So I go to the bank, I get my loan, I got my check, and the guy I'm talking to at the dealership just goes flat. Stops returning my phone calls, stops returning my text messages, emails. I can't get a hold of this guy. Well, now I've got this check all written out. I mean, nothing's written in stone yet, but I can't get the guy on the phone. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I figured I was an out-of-state buyer. Maybe he didn't take me seriously. So I just let it go. All right, well, back to the drawing board. Like I said, I'm a pretty savvy shopper, so I probably had a couple more on the hook. So I go back to the drawing board, and out of nowhere, the guy from Dallas sends me a message, or I think it was a text message. But he says, "Hey, are you still interested in that van?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be interested in that van. I'm not happy with the price, but are you willing to negotiate?" And surprise, surprise, he wasn't willing to negotiate because they want their money. So at the time, I was like, you know what? I like the van. I haven't seen it in person yet, but if I like the van, I'll most likely take it. I think it's a good van. Let's do it. So here is the start of the I'm not going to say the worst because it ended up really nice, but the craziest car buying experience of my life. So let's just start at the top. I get my ticket to Dallas, and I had it all planned out. I was flying out on like a Thursday. I was going to take Friday off. I was flying out on a Thursday. I get there, I think I get there on Friday night. I think I got there on Friday night. I was going to get to the dealership first thing Saturday morning, hopefully have everything, done by lunch, and then drive to Houston and spend, the rest of the weekend with the family. So right off the bat, I fly from San Diego to Dallas, and right off the bat, I had rented a car, and I usually rent I'm not trying to get anything for free, but I usually rent a midsize or an economy car, and they see that I'm military, and they upgrade me to a full size for usually the same price. That's usually what happens. Doesn't happen every time, but this particular time, they didn't have anything. They didn't have any cars. I'm like, how do you not have any cars? I have a reservation. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. We were expecting a car to come back, so they don't have a car for me. So I have to go. I think I was with Avis, so I go to Hertz, I go to Budget. Eventually I find a car, but I'm in the airport for another hour or so, just a pain in the ass. So eventually I do get a car, thankfully, but it just took a long time. So get my car, set my GPS. I have this Motel 6 that's, a couple of blocks away from the dealership. So I go to the motel, I go to check in. It's a little Motel 6, so, there's like a little office there. I knock on the glass, like, hello, I'm here to check in. And he's like, oh, okay, because it's super late. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. It says, oh, well, I think we're all booked up right now. Like, really? Like, yeah, well, what's your name? Oh, my name's Big Jones. So he says he doesn't have a reservation for me. I'm like, are you sure? Here's my number. Here's my little thing. He's like, oh, yeah, the card, there was an issue with the card declined or whatever, or we couldn't hold the reservation, or for whatever reason, they don't have a room for me. I'm like, this is fucking nuts. Already, I just not getting a good feeling about anything. Now I have to go all around Dallas and scout out for a freaking for a hotel room. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? I'm just going to, I have a full-size car. I think I had like a Nissan Altima, not the biggest car in the world, but it's good enough to sleep in for one night. My wife would not have that. She's like, look, I don't want you sleeping on the side of the road somewhere in a car. Something could happen. And she's right. She's usually right. But, so anyway, it took me another hour driving around Dallas, a city that I'm not familiar with. And I finally find a hotel. As a Holiday Inn Express, and they were very, very kind. They gave me a military discount. They were very helpful. Spent the night, and I'm just like, man, I'm just ready to. And the next morning, I'm just like, man, I'm ready to get this over with. Let me just get up, get going. So I got there right when the dealership opened. Now, I haven't met this guy yet, but I knew his name. His name was, I don't remember his real name. Let's just say his name was Mike. So I go see Mike at the dealership, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he knows I'm coming. We have been in constant contact leading up to today. It's Saturday morning. I told him, look, I'm going to be there first thing Saturday morning, and I'm ready to do this deal. So I get there, and he acts like he doesn't know who I am. I said, hey, Mike, it's me, Travis. I'm like, he's like, oh, yeah, how can I help you today, sir? I'm like, how can you help me today? You should know the answer to that. I'm here for a Kia Sedona. It's like, oh, yeah, I think we have a Kia Sedona. I'm like, well, you should. I'm here to buy it. And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, are you the guy from California? I'm like, oh, what the hell is... I feel like I'm in the fucking Twilight Zone. This is ridiculous, man. What the hell's going on with these people? Eventually, he brings the car around. Now, here's where the story takes a very unexpected turn. He brings the car around. First red flag, and this is a good go-by for anybody out there. If you've never purchased a car before, this is a textbook on what not to do when you go to buy a car, or what not to buy when you go to buy a car. The guy pulls the car around. I'm sitting waiting in the little office. I see him pull the car up, so I go outside. The car is dirty. Like dirty. The windows are spotted, the panels, everything. It looks dingy and dirty and dusty, like it has never been washed. And I'm like, okay, well, all right. I don't know. So, sorry. But, so he starts opening the doors. He opens all the doors, the two doors, the two sliding doors, and the hatch and back. I'm looking inside, and the car is like maroon. So the seats and the cloth interior inside is like a kind of a camel color, and it is black. It is dirty and dingy, and and I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I see this on the pictures on the website? Well, the thing is if you have somebody took a very, very somebody took very good care in trying to deceive on these pictures, because what you can do, and you can try this at home, if you have like a microfiber couch, or if your car has those little fibers, what you can do is you can rub them all in the same direction and then take a picture in the opposite direction, and it looks like it's all the same color. But when you see it in real life and you see it in 3 dimension, it's not. And it was dirty, and it looked horrible. I never would have even considered this vehicle if I had seen it in real life like this. And this is the guy who doesn't want to negotiate at all on the price. He wants $20,000. The car is 7 years old. It's got 60,000 miles on it, and you want 20 grand for it. And I'm just like, I'm stunned. I've no idea. This is ridiculous. He opens up the most glaring thing on there happened when he opened the hatch. So he opens the back. And and there is a food wrapper, like a candy wrapper, like for a granola bar or like something like that. But there is an empty food wrapper. There is trash in the car. And it's glaring, standing right there. I mean, most normal people, like if you didn't know that was in there and you're trying to sell this car, impress somebody with it and open the hatch and there's a candy wrapper there, most people would go, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," and grab it and stuff it in his pocket or put it in the trash. He acts like he doesn't even see it. He acts like it's not even there. This guy is pissing me off something fierce. And I'm like, I mean, I cannot even believe this. This is incredible. So I'm looking through the car, and it's like I don't even have to look that hard to find stuff that's jacked up with it. I've never seen this on any other car before. I've seen old cars before. I've never seen this. Someone intentionally did this. The plastic where the seat belt comes down, where the little seat belt connects to the wall, the panel in the car, somebody took a screwdriver or their nail and they scratched it up like really bad. They scratched up that plastic something awful. It's like all these little swirls and stuff. And I'm talking like deep, and it looks awful. And I'm looking around at this car like, you cannot expect me to pay for this. Are you out of your mind? I mean, it's almost insulting. You knew that a buyer with money was coming down here to buy this particular car. You wouldn't take it to a fucking car wash? Spend $10 and put some soap and water on it? You've got to be kidding me, man. So I'm just flabbergasted. I don't know what to say, and I'm just ready to cry because I'm sitting there and this little fucking dweeb is trying to sell me this car, and I'm just offended that he would even attempt to sell it to me. I go and I get in and I take it for a test drive around the block. It rides just fine. You know what's funny? Car salesmen are always quick to say, "Oh, the AC blows cold." So what? You know, I mean, AC, I mean, yeah, that's nice, but I mean, that shouldn't make or break a sale on a vehicle. I'm not going to spend $20,000 for air conditioning. Jesus. But they're always quick to say that, "Oh, AC blows cold." Okay, thanks. Great. You know, what about all this other shit? So I'm sitting in this dealership office, and it's not even like, it's a mom and pop shop. It's like the most basic shit you've ever seen. There aren't even like panels between these tables where these salesmen are trying to make these deals. It's just one big room with a table, and they're all lined up, and like I can see the people next to me doing their own deal, and they're looking at me, and I got steam shooting out of my ears. I'm so fucking mad. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, the guy sits down, we start talking about it, and I need a minute. So I get up, walk out the front door. I'm like, I got to call my wife. I got to tell her what's going on. I'm like, "Baby, this car is fucked." And I told her everything that was wrong with it. It was dirty and all that stuff. And she's like, "Well, look, I trust your judgment. I know you'll make the right choice, so just listen to your gut." So I don't know what to do, man. I'm losing my mind. I'm so angry. I want to take this kid and strangle him. I should be halfway to Houston by now, but I'm not because I'm dealing with this. So I went back and I told him, like, you can't in good conscience expect me to buy it like this. It's dirty. It's filthy. There's garbage in it. You can't expect me to pay my hard-earned money for this. He doesn't want to hear it. So he acts like he doesn't care if he makes a sale or not. So that alone was enough to make me leave. So I get back in the car. I told him I'd be back. I never went back, spoiler alert. But I got in the car. Now, on the way to this dealership, I passed by at least 3 other dealerships. So one of which has a very funny name, David McDavid, which is, I guess, is an institution in Texas. They have a few dealerships out there. But I was like, I passed by a bunch of dealerships. I have money. Someone will take my money because I'm not giving it to that asshole. So I go, I look at 3 different dealerships, no vans. No vans. Like, these dealerships don't have vans. I'm like, how do you not have a van, an SUV, something I can pack my family into? And they just didn't have it. So, and I hadn't done any research on any of these other ones. I was just praying that they would have something. So I go back to cars.com, which had been my main website that I had been researching this whole time, and something popped up that I hadn't seen before. It was a 2017 Dodge Caravan, and 2017, so it was like 1 or 2 years old, less than 10,000 miles on it. I was like, oh, way below market value. I'm getting on the phone. I'm like, hey, listen, my name's Big Jones. I want you to hold that vehicle for me. And the guy was like, oh, well, we're showing it right now. Look, if they don't take it, I want it. I have money. Don't let them take, or if they take it, there's nothing I can do about it. But look, I want that vehicle if they don't want it. I'm driving, man. I'm in Dallas. I'm following this GPS. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just driving, man. I know I got to get there. So I get there. It's late, man. It's like 4 o'clock on a Saturday. They're getting ready to close. And I sit down with the guy I spoke to on the phone. The people that were looking at it didn't take it, and I ended up with that van, man. I mean, you talk about a epic ending to a shitty day. I mean, what are the odds, man? I mean, that van was way below market value. The guy even told me himself, like, oh yeah, that's definitely priced to sell, And it turns out the reason why it was priced so low is because they'd come across it at I actually bought that van from a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and the salesperson I spoke to actually leveled with me. He was like, yeah, the having a big family van, a Dodge family van on our lot's not going to do anything for our image, so we priced that thing to get rid of it. I'm like, okay. That's crazy. I guess elitism can work in your favor sometimes. So I snatched that van up, drove it to Houston, and I remember my wife and my sister-in-law were out there waiting for me to come up, and they were applauding that I got the van. I'm talking to my wife the whole way. I was like, baby, I cannot believe this. And she's like, oh, did you get the van? Yeah, I got the van. And this van was beautiful, man. It was great. Very low mileage. It was beautiful. It was this gunmetal gray. We still have the car. In fact, we're getting ready to pay it off. So all's well that ends well. But, man, that was the craziest experience buying a car I've ever had. It was absolutely out of control. Couldn't believe the audacity of some people. But, if I learned anything, I hope you learn the same thing too. If you're buying a car, stick to your guns. If you have to walk away, walk away. Because if I had taken that van, and well, I mean, obviously I probably wouldn't have been looking at, cars.com anymore. But I mean, if I'd have seen that one, I'd have been so disappointed. I'd have been heartbroken. But it happened the way it was supposed to happen, and hopefully down the line, because I'm going to show you guys when I finally do get my new car, because I'm in the market for another Challenger. Hopefully, I'll do some videos with the new Challenger, because it looks like I might have to fly out again and drive it home or get it shipped home or something like that. But fool me once, I don't get fooled.